Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Misfits Racing League. My name is Stryfium, and joining me for Tier 1, it is Unicorn. How you doing, Unicorn?
I'm looking forward to this trip. I'm doing very well, thank you. In Tier 1, we Tier 2 yesterday, and I'm still holding out for rain. That's all. I'm apprehensive. I'm doing well, but I'm apprehensive. I want to see some rain strip. Other people, even Shenjay, I was just speaking to him before this. Shenjay wants rain, he's on this grid shift. Everyone wants rain, so I'm just dying to see it. I'm dying to see rain, but either way, Tier 1, very, very entertaining grid, and I'm looking forward to see what these guys put together for us this evening.
16 turns here around Barcelona, of course, and it is, well, a very dynamic circuit as we've seen through 3 races now. We had Tier 3, Americas, and then Tier 2, and it's just been a very eventful week. And as we look through now the calendar, next week, following that, it's going to be a busy chunk of the calendar coming up here. Round 6 today, of course, in Spain. Following that, next week we have Monaco. After that, we go to the streets of Baku in Azerbaijan, then Canada, France, Austria, Britain, Hungary, Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Russia, Japan, the United States, Mexico, Brazil, and then for round 22, we finish things off in Abu Dhabi. Now, of course, big shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. Jump into that chat, click that link, because they are really, really supporting sim racing and the growth of the community, of course, and they have a great lineup of products over on their website. We take a look at the Tier 1 standings now. As we jump here into round 6, Balu is currently leading things in the Red Bull. Harris is hunting him down in the Ferrari, and we have Shenjay there in third, the AlphaTauri. Very, very tight championship. Red Bull leading it right now in the constructors. 120 points over there, if I'm not mistaken, and my eyes aren't deceiving me. Ferrari there, second, with AlphaTauri in third as well, the same as the top 3 in the drivers. So it's a very, very tight championship. And with that being said, we are just about to go racing here.
Yeah, we're ready, and everyone's already in nice and promptly. So just a little bit early, I think, but you love to see it. 19 drivers, I think, on the grid tonight. All 20 drivers, but 19 full time. The only person not here, Fraser for Renault, because he's got a cramp he had yesterday. Some real life technical issues preventing him from using his pedals. So, an unfortunate bump in the road for Fraser there, and that will hurt him in his aim to get points. His teammate ZZ9 on the grid, though, still able to pick up points. But some idiot, the only reserve, I do believe, are on the grid this evening.
Some idiot, contrary to his namesake, definitely a very, very capable and quick driver. And I'll say this, he is, I think, considered the leader of the Pirates, as we call the reserves this season, as they're taking points away from the full-time combined constructors championship. So some idiot coming into Renault to fill in for Fraser is going to be a little bit of a monkey wrench to the race of some of these participants, and just getting everybody readied up now as the clock strikes the hour. 18 minutes of qualifying here, 50% distance race, 33 laps here around Spain. And well, we've seen a couple of very, very intense races in Tier 3 and Tier 2, and then we saw, of course, the Americas presented with 3 safety cars. So it could go either way, as we've seen this week.
Yeah, and safety cars really are just something that can really play a huge impact on this race. We saw it yesterday that safety car really kept Hurricane in it, with the soft hard strategy working out just a little bit better for him because that safety car came in when it did. So a safety car around here, not too hard to bring out either, losing traction out of turn 9. Even turn 2, if you're side by side through there, it can be pretty easy. Turn 12, the exit of that, if you get that wrong, bringing it into the inside wall. So plenty of opportunities, even just on your own, to make a mistake and bring out that safety car. So it's a track where battling is very, very possible. Side-by-side action is definitely available to these drivers, but because of just the way some of these corners are structured, that those walls are just where you don't want them to be at some point, Striff.
Definitely. Probably now everyone getting loaded up will take you through who is participating in this campaign. This is the Spanish Grand Prix, Tier 1 racing action for MRL Season 4. My name is Strifium here from Canada. Joining me is Unicorn from the UK. And, well, one thing is both the Mercedes, the home Grand Prix for the both of them, Lil Blotel and, of course, Alex Bitto. So, that be a little bit of added pressure.
Yeah, and, well, neither having the best start of the season, particularly in the early races. Lil Blotel has found himself up into that top 10 now, 9th place in the standings, not too far away. It's a very tight battle in that sort of 5th through 10th positions. The weather report coming through, it's a dry affair, so yet again, the rain escapes us, Striff. And, well, where is it? Is the question I think a lot of us are answering. But, yeah, qualifying underway now, and people already getting out of that garage.
Definitely some early activity here in the pit lane. Sad to hear about the weather report. Everybody wanted that rain. Dry coming through in the chat, and it's going to be Richie in the McLaren. Kazoo Academy driver Ace flying through turn 3 in that McLaren. He's had an up and down start to this season. We'll see what he's able to do here in Spain, as everybody will come out on these softs to start this session. And, well, we've really got about 13 minutes of relaxing and just assessing the field here. So why don't you take us through who's on the grid, because you know how these guys are going to go with these tires, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They're just going to wait a little bit. Probably a lot of these laps we're going to see invalidated by the drivers to get to the last 5 minutes and hop onto their one set of mediums for qualifying. But we have Milan in the Haas currently standing at the top of the time tower. Valu, top of the standings in the Red Bull. Ace Ritchie, he's in third at the moment. Sindaku, Domi in the Ferrari. Microlander in the other Red Bull. Some idiot, the only reserve on the grid this evening. Freeware, Dason, ZZ9, Tim, Dougie Falcons, Brownie, Shenjay, Yoda, Paris, Bitto, Vexit, Blotel, and then Brainshoot rounds out the full grid. But we do have Richie starting, well, what is already an invalid lap strip. He invalidated it through the final corner, so that it's not valid on this attempt either.
Yeah, these qualifying sessions always presenting, when the tire degradation's massive on the softs, they really present these unique qualifying sessions where you'll see all these drivers go for their practice runs on the soft compound tire, not really forcing any times onto that board. Ace getting that lap time invalidated before he even begins the lap. Now he's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him.
Yeah, Yoda, I'm watching him, and he's just invalidated it almost perfectly through turn 8 as to lose no speed. So, again, I have a sneaky suspicion that some of these guys have practiced invalidating their lap times to impede themselves as little as possible. Like you said, to get that good idea of where they stack up, at least in terms of pace and what they could produce, should they need to. A 1:14.6 is what Yoda's done, but it is obviously invalid, so that's sort of the level that we're playing at right now. But again, we might not see proper times fall in. Shenjie 1:15.3. I know he could go about a second a lap faster than that. So again, like you said, waiting game until the last 5 minutes really hit around Spain for this short qualifying.
Shenjie, he's come through a 15.3. I saw Richie, he did a 14.5. Now, the thing with Shenjie here is he's given himself a little bit of a banker time. So if he does come out, let's say later on a soft run, which I don't think he'll come out on a proper soft run. I think a lot of these guys might just go for that good run on the medium. But he's given himself an insurance policy here, as has Dougie, as has ZZ9. These other guys invalidating their times. I mean, Dougie, a 14.7 on the softs. ZZ9 did a 15.2. brain stew, that 15.5 in the Alfa Romeo. I think it's important to get a banker in here. And we've seen drivers invalidate not deliberately through Spain. Richie now on his way into the pit lane. Milan,
Yeah, well,
or excuse me, Tim across the line. 15.183. We've seen these two Haas boys, Milan and Tim, through the season. They've been quite close in qualifying.
yeah, and well, tonight's no different. Both drivers in that 115.1 territory, and like you said, I think a banker is important, but it depends how hard you're going to push. For like Dougie Falcon, for example, a 114.7 isn't a terrible lap time in and of itself. You know, that 114 mark, not a bad place to be. But let's say he crashed on an in-lap or an out-lap, for example, and he wasn't able to set another time. That's when you really need that banker lap time. So I think these drivers who are just straight up invalidating, you know, what we saw from Yoda, Ace Ritchie, it is a little bit risky, but at the same time, maybe a little bit more useful. So it's a risk versus reward for what these drivers are playing at right now. And, well, we'll see the rewards when lap times start coming in about 7 minutes' time.
Tons of drivers right now, they're running on these in-laps. You don't really know who's flying because everyone's playing with their battery. They're not really giving that proper representation of pace because they don't want to get those times in. I was just checking in with Paris. He wasn't up to anything special. Valu right now, he's coming through the first sector in the Red Bull Championship leader. And he's not utilizing any of that battery at the minute. But he's purple.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. Paris already putting 2 laps into these soft tyres. Wonder if he's going to go again, just as a light bit of practice. You know, we see a few drivers doing this sometimes in a qualifying session where they'll just do lap after lap on the same compound of tyre. But no, it is into the pits for the Ferrari. And I think most of the other drivers right now, freeware, flying but invalid, something we are very familiar with seeing so far during the course of the week, but still the AlphaTauri putting in a nice effort. We'll see what sort of time he can do.
You know where I don't think we'll see a lot of invalidations? Monaco. I think we're going to see a lot of people pushing hard to get a good qualifying in Monaco. It is crucial there after all. Valu, 6th position, 15.4 out of the Red Bull. Checking in with freeware there. He's on his way into the pit lane.
Yeah, despite the invalidation, not going to round out the lap, so just hopping out, hopping back into the pit lane. And we do have a few drivers now. Alex Biddo, the home Grand Prix for the Mercedes driver, and, well, he's out on the medium tyre strip, so is he going for an early run? This strikes me as a little bit of an interesting decision. You don't usually see people hopping out on these mediums until a little bit later on in the session, but 7.5 minutes in, and here comes Alex through the final sector.
And Blutzel just sniped the podium, or not the podium, excuse me, the pole position. 14.451 out of him. He's on the softs. Biddo's going to begin his run. On the mediums, and he'll be the first. He'll be the first driver to set that time on mediums here, and I think it might be a little early. And he cuts the. He runs it wide through turn 1. That's an invalidated time, but he's going to keep it flowing here.
Yeah, very interesting coming out of the Mercedes garage. I'm not quite sure what they are aiming to achieve here, or what indeed their strategy is coming into this. But a 14.4 from Blotel, I don't see him beating that, at least not easily, on a set of medium tyres. That's a pretty competitive lap time up there on provisional pole. So, I'm wondering whether the Mercedes here going to cover both strategies. Maybe Alex just trying to bait a few people out, get out early on the mediums, not set as optimal of a lap time. But very interesting from the Silver Arrows.
Well, on board now with the Williams of Brownie. He is on a valid run here. He is on the softs.
Alex going around again. So maybe it wasn't deliberately invalidation. He's not using any ERS. I'm so confused as to what the Spaniard is doing.
Brownie now coming through the final chicane here just to get a time through.
Sindako, he's flying.
Brownie goes P3 at 14.993. That is very interesting out of him.
Sindako right now flying on the medium tires. Although a big snap coming out of turn 11. That's going to cost him big time to his lap, and he's pulled off. He is not happy with that one.
Well, I'm wondering if there was some kind of issue there with him. Because I had seen Dougie. He even pulled off Dougie now. He's starting a lap. He's on softs. He's looking to improve potentially on a 14.7 that he has already set on the softs on his way down into turn 1. But there's a major tow now, it would seem, coming out of the racing points here. Vexit is directly in front of Sindako heading down through into turns 1 and 2, and that looks like it's going to give Sindako sling through the first sector here. Domi in the Ferrari, a 14.437 out of him. That is now provisional pole.
Again, another nice lap that strikes me as someone going to start this race on the soft compound tires. As Sindaku coming through Sector 2. Nicely done through 7 and 8. Now through 9. A corner where I'm sure we'll see a few thrills and spills. Later on in the evening, down into the hairpin at turn 10. A little bit of a lock-up for the Racing Point, but I do believe that this is an actual qualifying run for the Racing Point. As he comes now through turn 13 into the chicane at the end of the lap. Into the final corner. And what can he produce here? It is going to be a solid lap time. It's a 14.7. Fourth place on the medium shift. That is not a bad attempt at all.
No, definitely not a bad attempt out of him. 14.7, considering what some of these guys have been doing on the softs, is definitely something to be concerned about if you're on that softer compound. A few other drivers now looking to jump in on the mediums. One of them is Tim.
Yeah, Tim on those mediums. He's not going to get a tow from his teammate, though. I wonder whether Vexit, you saw him come out on those soft compound tires in front of his teammate. I wonder whether Sindaku's gone so early here so as to give them time to get on to softs for Sindaku, Vexit on the mediums, and then they could do the tires, the tow again down that start-finish straight. You know, a little bit of slipstream can go a long way, so it could be possible for the Racing Point squad seeing that sort of strategy come out. I do believe they are communicating the Racing Point squad. They love to engineer each other. There's a lot of camaraderie and teamwork in that Pink Panther squad, as Tim coming through into the final sector around turn 12. See where he can put himself on these mediums.
Coming through the final few turns now. 15.1 on the softs. Let's see what he can do here. It's definitely going to be an improvement. Where's he going to land? A 14.7. He jumps Sindako. Neatly done out of the Haas P4 for him for the time being. Of course, it is now that sub 5 minute marker, and that is a good indicator of when these drivers are going to jump out to get runs in. There is going to be a massive amount of traffic here. You can see everybody on this timing tower switching over to the mediums. Not a lot of them have time set. So we'll see what everyone's able to do. A lot of pace in and around this timing tower right now that has yet to show itself.
Yeah, really just everyone basically just not sandbagging, but just spinning their laps up on the softs, just making sure that they don't go faster than they can on the mediums. And track evolution, certainly something these drivers are thinking about right now, making sure they get out on their one set of the yellow wall tires at the appropriate time when the track is at its most optimum. I think Valu might be the next person to start. If not, I wonder what Alex Biddo is doing right now on the in the Sottle. It's a 14 flat strip. I don't think he's going to be coming out on mediums anytime soon.
Yeah, that's definitely his run, I think, for the session here. Brain Stew right now, he's flying this Alfa Romeo through Sector 3. And I think he's looking to put down some serious times into this session. 15.5 is the current run. This will definitely be an improvement. What's it going to be from the Alfa Romeo? A 14.5 on the mediums. So things are tightening up on this grid. Valu in the Red Bull. He's flying. He's just passed through his teammate Microlander.
Yeah, I want to see where Valu ends up. Someone, you know, who's just been outstanding at the start of this season. Dougie Falcons, I believe that was just... Oh, no. Who was that who just hopped up into the top there? Another McLaren of Ace who just crossed the line to start a flyer, so... Maybe some idiot reserving a 14.6 for the Renault Reserve,
I
but...
think it might have been some idiot in the Renault. Yeah, 14.6 out of him here. Replacing Fraser for round 6. And here goes Valu. Finishing out his run on the mediums. The championship leader will cross the line 5th quickest. And that is the quickest time set on the mediums presently.
Yeah, that's a really, really good time. A 14.4. You know, we've seen that kind of time. Domi Blotel, who seems to have pushed on the softs earlier in the session with those similar times. So I wonder whether they're a little bit worried as a result of that. Blotel, the home race for him and Bido, like you said earlier, and both of them have themselves situated quite nicely. Blotel out on a flyer right now, as is ZZ9. He's invalidated, though, on the mediums. So not the best for him. Ace Ritchie, he's back out on the mediums this time. We saw him invalidate earlier, but it's not going to be a brilliant time for him. I think he's going to go around again because that was a 124 flat, not what he wants to be doing. Dayson, he's just upped into 11th place at 114.8. He's also on the medium compound tyres.
Well, Blotel now, according to the chat, Fraser coming through to give us an update saying Bido has taken the MRL lap record here now, 14.017. We'll see if his teammate on the same compound tire can contest it. Of course, home Grand Prix for the both of them in the Mercedes camp.
Well, I think either one of them would want a Spaniard to have that record. DRS to the line. 114 flat again. 600s off, and well, it's a Mercedes 1-2 strip. We saw this for Ferrari last night for a brief moment in qualifying.
Speaking of Ferrari, Paris now on the medium compound tires, a 14.203. Giving himself 2 cars in separation, Dougie Falcons and his teammate to play rear gunner.
Well, that is a lightning fast lap, a 114.2 on the mediums. Dougie Falcons, a 113.9 to cross him into provisional pole, and well, the Spaniards can wave goodbye to the lap record for the time being. Bitto is out again though, so we'll see if he can hop himself into those 113s as well.
I don't know if he's gonna make it. He might not make it here. He's gonna be very tight to that line. He crossed it. He's missed it. Vegs it now, coming through. He has not set a time in this session. Where is the Racing Point gonna land? It's 6th, a 14.435 out of Vexit to take the checkered flag here in qualifying. So it has begun for a lot of these drivers now. Domi, it looks like he's finished, as is Paris. Who can we find that's on an active flyer? Milan in the Haas will be looking to improve. Who's closer? The AlphaTauris are on the move. Shenjie will cross the line. It's P9 for him, a 14.511 unicorn.
Well, Striff, there's so many medium runners up in that fast time. Paris, I actually can't believe that 14.2 has been set on those mediums. That is absolutely lethal pace for someone who is very much challenging Valu for the title, and Valu's down in 7th on the same strategy, and older mediums as well. it's not shaping up well for the Red Bull in terms of the championship standings. Whether these guys on the softs have got something up their sleeves, maybe we see a safety car save them in a similar way we saw Hurricane. But
Well, I do believe we're
Bitto's
finished for this session. Yoda can't be improving. Neither can Richie. Domi's not going to be improving. We're looking at Dougie Falcons on pole position, ladies and gentlemen, and that's a McLaren in front of things with the two Spaniards right behind him, 2 and 3. It was a front row lockout until Dougie had something to say about it. Bitto and Blottel not going to be overly thrilled about it. Harris in 4th, Domi in 5th, Vegs at 6th here. Valu in 7th, Brainstew in 8th, Shenjay in 9th, and some idiot rounds out the top 10 in quali. 4 of the top 10 on the softs. We'll just have to see how that plays out here, Unicorn.
Yeah, only 4 drivers on the softs, and I don't think we're going to see a single Red Bull tyre outside of the top 10. But, you know, it can work. We saw it work yesterday for Hurricane. A bit lucky with the safety car, but he still got a podium from starting on the softs, and even with a bad start as well. So, if these two Mercedes can work together, then it might still work out for them yet around their home Grand Prix. But it's not going to be easy. That is very much for sure.
That's right. Dougie Falcons on pole position. A 13.954 coming out of the McLaren. Alex Bitto will line up next to him in the Mercedes. Home Grand Prix for him, the Spaniard, a 14.017. His teammate, Lil Blotel, 14.073 out of him, a 10th behind. Harris, 4th. Domi in the other Ferrari, 5th, and that'll be your top 5. We'll go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap. The current separation from first down all the way to the rear of this grid where Brownie sits in the Williams is 1 second.
Well, Tier 1 has just shown how close it can be, how close it is, and, well, I wouldn't be surprised to see a big DRS train form here again. We are going to see that dry weather. We still haven't had that dynamic yet this season for that wet race and any of the tiers, and Tier 1 not going to be all too different here this evening, but for some drivers I think that's going to be a sigh of relief. I know Tim wasn't too looking forward to a wet race, and we haven't seen it yet, and as much as I think we are all disappointed that we haven't seen rain yet, Striff, if we saw a wet race for the first time this season at Monaco, I think that will provide some very interesting drama.
Definitely would. It definitely would. 15 seconds counting down now. All these drivers getting those setups finalized ahead of this 33 lap campaign, and, well, going to be quite interesting to see how this opening lap goes. Get those predictions in the chat. Who is going to be, well, for starters, who's winning the race? For seconds, who is going to be on the podium? And then my personal favorite, how many safety cars are we going to see deployed through this one? Take us through the tires, Mr. Unicorn.
Yeah, I'm having a look at them now, Striff, and like I said, there is only those 4 red tires on the grid, and it looks like Blotel might have picked up a 5-place grid penalty, because I'm pretty sure he qualified higher than 8th, but it is Dougie Falcons on pole on the softs. Alex Bitto at his home Grand Prix joins him on the front row in P2. Then the second row locked out by the Scuderia. Paris on the mediums, a very, very strong lap sets him in P3. Then Domi, his teammate behind him, in P4 on the softs. Then we have Vexit in P5, Valo P6, Brainstew P7, all on the mediums. Lil Blotel in the other Mercedes, the only other driver on this grid on the soft compound tyres. Shenjay in the AlphaTauri, and some idiot reserving for the Renault squad in place of Fraser this evening rounds out the top 10. Then Freeware in 11th, starting on the hard compound tyres. Milan in 12th, mediums for him. Microlander as well on the hards. Tim on the mediums in 14th. Then Sindaku, Ace, Richie, ZZ9, all on the hards. Dason separates the 2 Williams, also on hards, from those guys on the mediums. And then Yoda and Brownie. Not a great qualifying from the Williams squad, both starting right at the bottom of this grid on that last row. So they've got a lot of work to do if they want to score some points for the Williams squad here, as Dougie Falcons rounds the final corner on this formation lap before everything gets underway here.
This is going to be such a dynamic race. I can feel it. I can feel it. Can you all in the chat feel it? It is about to go down here. Round 6, Tier 1 racing action. It's the Misfits Racing League. And of course, my name's Stryfium. Hailing from Canada. We've got Unicorn from the UK and a very, very diverse grid of participants about to take us through some very dynamic wheel-to-wheel action, if I do say so myself. But of course now, as the final driver approaches the grid here in Barcelona, the lights shall commence. 4, 5 red lights here in Spain. The drivers are away and we are racing. How's it going to go? Coming down into turn 1, there's already a big spark of action just in the mid of this grid. Wheel to wheel coming down into turn 1 right now between Dougie and Alex Bitto. The two Ferraris are proceeding behind them. Dougie with a very dangerous rejoin. He has come back on track and he has apparently gone off. Will that be a safety car this early in the race? Does he have damage? That was a big slap out of the McLaren there. Still more action through this grid. Microlander looking at Sindako, and things are so intense here on this race start as Milan with a major lunge will dispatch the Red Bull, but there's contact between the two. A major shuffle of position in this backfield right now, and at the front of things, Vexit is really on the rear of the Italian brain stew now, coming through turn 9, Unicorn.
Yeah, Vexit not having a brilliant start to this race. Really got mugged by a few people off the line, but the problem for Dougie Falcon has, getting him back a place that he lost off of the start. But it's not been a brilliant start for the soft runners. Dougie down in 17th, and Blotel as well. He had some sort of collision with ZZ9 that sees him off down 10 places from where he started as well. Jason and Tim right now. Tim picking up P12 from the Alfa Romeo. Yoda and Milan, they're going side by side through the chicane. You don't usually see battling through here. But Yoda on a real charge in this opening lap, starts in 19th place.
Oh no, there's been an issue for the Renault. What's happened here? Some idiot, he started the dropper. Has this been the timing tower, or was that? It's definitely the timing tower. He's not even moving. What's going on there?
Still in 8th place.
Yeah, okay, my timing tower is having a laugh.
Oh, mine's starting to have the similar issues as well. But yeah, the Renault still up in 8th. I don't think too many people outside of the McLaren of Dougie Falcons, and I think that's Brownie in the pit lane there. It is. So not quite sure what's happened to Brownie on this opening lap as well, but he's out on some fresh mediums.
Yeah, the timing tower right now having a moment as we look to find all the action. The timing tower is frozen at the moment, so we're not able to get any real-time lapping data.
Yeah, this timing tower really not being too helpful. I think it settled itself for me now, and there's a gap starting to form a little bit. I think some idiot he might not be falling as the timing tower was suggesting, but I think there is a gap forming not only in front of him, but behind him as well, as Freeware hops into the pit lane. I don't know if his AlphaTauri has damage, or if he just doesn't want to be on these hard compound tires anymore. So have a look to see if those pit crew are holding up. Oh, there is an end plate missing on the right-hand side of the AlphaTauri's front wing, so he's getting that changed. And tire choice, mediums again for him.
Lotel has just taken a 3-second time penalty here, Unicorn. Shenjay right now hunting down Vexit as Vexit appears to be disconnected on Shenjay's screen here. We'll hope to get him back. Oh, there goes Shenjay. Vexit, there's the disconnect. And it's been another lag spike here for Shenjay, trying to hunt down that racing point. Right behind him is some idiot, and he does not want that racing point holding him up and pushing him into this Renault at all. And there goes a lunge from Shenjay down into turn 10.
Well, I'm very confused as to what's just happened to the racing point there, because on my screen, it was in the gravel trap in Sector 1. And he just teleports to the back straight, but either way, there is still a huge gap forming between Shenjay and pretty much the rest of this grid. He's in a little bubble all on his own.
Let's see what moves we can find ourselves with here. Some idiot now on Vexit's AI controlled car will take that position to try and catch up with Shenjie. He's lost a significant amount of time here. We'll see if Microlander has an attempt as Vexit jumps back into the session. We'll see when he gets control of that car and whether or not it will be before or after this Red Bull's attempt. Here it goes now on the inside as we jump into turn 4. And the AI in these lobbies is set a little bit representative of the pace of these grids, so it's not the easiest to overtake an AI.
Oh, problem for the other Alfa Romeo. It's Dyson. He's in the wall, just coming out of turn 4 on the inside wall. Pretty interesting place to come off there, but there's a fair chunk of damage. Both end plates missing.
Well, Vexit is back in, and we know this because the timing tower has left us for a moment. Looking on with Brainstew, the other Alfa Romeo, as he continues to hunt down Valu here. Shenjie dropping off of these top 5 who are in a train of their own.
Yeah, that top 5 train though will be broken up in a few laps time when Bido and Domi come in to get off of the sots. Meanwhile, Paris and Valu both sticking with the soft runners very nicely here. They're not really letting them get away, no breathing room, and well, Domi can play as a nice little rear gunner here for Paris. Back Valu up a little bit, back Brainstew up, make sure that they get out of that DRS range. You can see Domi right now dancing around that 1 second margin, and it's early to be deploying tactics like this, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Schooner rear do something along those lines, because Paris right now very strong to stay on the back of Alex Billow's car, and
Sindako
he's just got DRS there.
has just overtaken Dougie Falcons through turn 1 here as Dougie. 2-lap old medium Sindako on the fresh rubber here on the charge.
It's all about when these guys come into the pit lane, and we've seen it before with Tier 1 that these trains just start to form, and everyone a very, in most cases, a fairly patient grid, I think, Striff. As we've got Paris now, he's very close to the rear of Alex Bido. He's not really using much ERS, but I think DRS is going to be enough for the Ferrari. It is. And well, P1 has exchanged hands for the first time this race, and Bisso is really struggling, Striff. He has just got a little bit wayward through turn 2, and that's cost him 6/10 already to the Ferrari of Paris. And with the more optimum tyre strategy as well, I don't think there's a lot of hope for the Spaniard here against Paris, who's just come into this tier, you know, a little bit late in the season. Obviously, only missed a couple of races, joined us in China, and ever since then, he's won every single race he's been in, I do believe. And, well, he's charging right now.
Yeah, he won the previous race on a technicality as Valu took a penalty. Otherwise, that would have gone to the Red Bull. But as we move through now into Sector 3, things are quite tight. Speaking of Valu, he's tight to the rear of Domi. And we'll see what he's able to do with the Ferrari, with Brainstew charging behind him. Further down the grid, things are still tight on the rear of Microlander.
Yeah, Domi as well. You can see now Paris has broken that DRS ahead of him, and Domi with Valu, Brainstew behind him. Those two, they're going to be fighting for the podium positions, provided everything goes well for them. And here goes Valu, looks up the inside of the Ferrari. Not going to find the move on Domi just yet, and this is time. Can't really be affording to lose against his championship rival, who, with a win here, would see him draw so close to the Red Bull, especially if Valu doesn't finish P2. It should even be the overtake in the standings. So Valu right now not happy to be looking at the gearbox of the other Ferrari, Striff.
Definitely not. Definitely not right now. Everyone in close recession here as we come through out of turn 9, and I'm looking through this grid to see if there's any major fights that could potentially break out. I've seen ZZ9 quite close to the rear of Bloodtel, and such is the case on these 6-lap old softs. I mean, they're going to start to degrade here as we move through. We're on lap 7, about to jump into lap 8. When is Bloodtel going to get off these soft tires? Same with Bido and Domi. They are starting to really degrade. And as you said, Value's not going to be happy about it. We're going to jump ahead now as he will have a good exit and potentially hunt down Domi. No DRS. Here he goes, giving the Red Bull the squeeze, but it's easy as you like. There goes Brain Stew around the outside of Value into turn 1 and 2. Does he get this done? He has to take the off-road. What a move coming out of the Italian. But it is going to be Value into third position. Domi is sitting duck for the 2 medium runners there. And what a move out of Brain Stew, and what a great attempt it was.
Yeah, he saw that coming, I think. Domi, I've been monitoring this battle, and I think, like you said, the tires now really dying out for these soft runners, and through 14, 15, that chicane at the end of that, Domi, super slow, very much struggling through there. Value obviously saw it, but I think Brainstew saw it as well and knew that the Red Bull was going to go for the move. Switched to the outside when he saw Value was taking the inside. Domi went to defend it, so there's space for the Italian, and, well, if he'd have pulled that off, that would have been one of the moves of the season, Striv. That was excellent race car from him. Like you said, not panning out for him, but if he keeps that kind of pressure up on Value ahead, Value's got a serious problem in this Alfa Romeo.
Well, meanwhile, Value, Bido right ahead of him here, might give him a really good opportunity. Oh, there he goes, Bido into the pit lane now. This is going to really expose Value to Brain Stew behind for a few moments, as there's a 3.5 second gap to Paris ahead. Brain Stew's within DRS range with no threats behind at the minute. These two have the potential to pull away from Shenjie at a very rapid rate. But with no DRS in front of him and the pace we're seeing coming out of the Italian right now, I think Value might be in trouble.
Yeah, Value is... He's got a lot of pace. We've seen it so far this season. He's a very competitive driver. He's sitting top of the standings right now for a reason. But Paris has come in here. He's missed a couple of races at the start because he wasn't part of the grid. Now he is. He's won every single race. You know, Value beat him last race on track. But this race, it's looking like, again, the Red Bull just doesn't have an answer to that Ferrari. You've got Brain Stew now barking on his gearbox, staying within DRS. Value won't have it now. He had it down into turn 1. He didn't have it there into turn 10. He won't have it into turn 1 this lap either. And Brain Stew's just going to reel him in. It's going to be nice and easy for the Alfa Romeo. And we've already seen he's hungry for the position, so I don't think it's going to be too long, 1 or 2 laps until we see Brain Stew go for it again.
Well, we have a battle brewing here for P7 and P6 as him starting to drop off the rear of Microlander just a little bit, and once he does, Vexit wants to be there to pick up the pieces. Of course, just want to take the moment to give a massive shout out to everybody in the chat, and to everybody who's followed along with the stream, and to Mr. Coolmanic coming through with the Twitch Prime. Thank you very much for the support of the MRL, my friend, and everybody in the chat following along with Tier 1 action. Well, massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. You can check them out in the chat or the panels below. Got an amazing lineup of sim rigs. Milan into the pit lane, the Haas. That's something that I want to talk about now, is where these drivers may land in the traffic. Because there's a big differential in strategy. Hards now 9 laps versus these mediums, and that could present situations for Paris to potentially pull away or have Value catch up.
Yeah, the strategy here, you really just got to sort of play it by your ear, and if these guys got an engineer, that's going to help them a lot. They can cover each other, see what everyone else is doing, and when Paris pits, you've got to expect Value and Brain Stew. They're going to be all over it. They're going to just follow him into the pit lane here. And, well, you can see Domi Bido right now just sitting outside of the points. Still a lot on the table for both of them. Tim, Vexit, and to a lesser extent, Ace Richie going down into turn 1. I think Vexit, he's been looking at the rear of this house for some time now, so not finding a way past, but he's getting ready and geared up to make that move. These guys on those sort of aging mediums themselves. Vexit using ERS out of turn 3. A little bit unconventional, but he's looking around the outside of 4. Tim now has the inside line. You don't expect it here, but Vexit here, up the inside, down into 5, and that's a very, very nice move from the Racing Point. I don't think Tim would have been expecting it there. I certainly wasn't expecting it, and, well, Vexit picks up P7 as a result.
That was very neatly done out of Vexit, Tim. What a battle coming out of both drivers, and I think everybody can be happy that we witnessed that the way we did. And Richie right now, as a result, will be looking to perhaps take advantage of Tim and the fact that he's dropped into 8th position.
Yeah, and Valu very late into the pit lane, it looked like, but he's gone in. He's going to go for that undercut drift. The Red Bull getting off of these mediums.
Oh, that's a very, very unique strategy here. I thought he might have just followed and played it down to pace, but this undercut could be a good idea. We'll see what happens with it and where he'll land. Keeping on with what's happening on the grid right now as Richie looks at Tim. We saw Tim struggle through turn 3 last time round, which is where Exit took his opportunity. Richie not having the same opportunity this time through. Now, Valu, 4.8 seconds is the gap between him and the next closest driver, ZZ9. ZZ9 3 seconds off the rear of Yoda. He also has Bido in his rearview mirror. Bido showing that he also has pace around his home circuit. We'll see if he's able to keep up with the Finn. Perhaps give him a little bit of a problem.
Well, for Bido to be within DRS range of Valu is great news for the Spaniard, and Domi has, he's really dropped off the rear of Bido here around his home circuit. He wasn't particularly close coming in, but he was closer than 4 seconds. So Alex right now, a decent amount of pace in these hards. They're only 2 laps older than Valu's. That might come to haunt him at the end of this race, but we saw Hurricane yesterday on much older hards do a lot more. So Paris, Brainstew, they're both into the pit lane. We'll have to see where Paris comes out. I think it will still be P1, but Ace Richie, he's found the inside line on Tim. The Haas plagued a little bit by some sort of lag, a little bit dancing all over the place, but the McLaren not unfazed by it, and he hops straight into P5.
Well, here comes Paris out of the pit lane. Now he's got ZZ9 right on his tail. But as he's on the fresh hards, he should be able to pull away relatively easy.
Brainstew hopped out in P12 as well, separating Alex and Domi. And Domi is really struggling here. He's now 5 seconds behind Brainstew. That means he's lost about 1.7 seconds in the last lap to Alex Bido. So I don't know whether... I mean, Alex will have had DRS, which will certainly have helped, but still, that's a monumental amount of time to lose in 1 lap to a driver ahead. So Domi needs to be a little bit careful here as to where he falls in this grid, particularly with drivers coming out on fresher tyres ahead of him in that Ferrari.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We take a look at gap to leader right now. From first to 20th is 54 seconds. Gap from first down to 10th position is 15 seconds where Valu sits. Now, Paris came out of that pit lane with a major gap to Valu. I don't think that undercut paid off because ZZ9 is, well, significantly farther ahead than I think Valu had wanted. Fastest lap right now, 17.5 out of Sindako.
Yeah, not in the pit, in the points right now, so just sort of taking that extra point out of the top 10. We might see maybe Vexit go for it if he wants to try and bring that point home for the Racing Point squad, but still a solid effort from Sindaku, who's on a bit of a different strategy. 9-lap-old mediums right now. You can see that those aren't the tyres he started this race on. Currently sitting in 15th place, a very difficult race for him so far, and a difficult situation for him to score points in without a safety car strip. We haven't seen one yet. We haven't seen a VSC. We saw a couple of cars wide off in the gravel trap at turn 1 on lap 1, but since then,
Nothing
it's been
major.
very clean.
Yeah. Nothing major. We've had a very, very clean race right now. Shenjie, Samidia in front of things, both on the mediums. None of these top 6 yet will have come in. ZZ9 hasn't come in either. Dougie Falcons has just picked up 3 seconds. 3 drivers on the board with penalties right now. Freeware, Dougie, and Blattel.
Yeah, and all of them right now, 14th, 16th, 17th, with an extra 3 seconds that other drivers don't have. That makes it so much harder to get yourself into those point scoring positions at the end of this race, because even if you get to 10th, 9th, start clawing back 1 or 2 points, you're just going to be relegated again when it comes down to it. Freeware now with that penalty, still going to go up the inside of the Haas of Tim down into turn 1. and as easy as you like. 11 lap hold mediums, just proving how strong DRS is down that start finish straight. Still fast enough to carry freeware through turn 1. Tim, well, he's experienced someone going for it here, but he's not going to try it himself. He's just going to save himself, wait a little bit, and then strike at a later moment.
Well, here with that penalty, Tim doesn't need to push too hard, but he doesn't want that guy in front of him either. He wants to be making his way up the field without a driver on older tires ahead of him. And
Some the top two.
Some fun predictions in the chat predicting safety cars on specific laps. You love to see it. There goes, yeah, as you said, some idiot Shenjay both into the pit lane now.
Only Vexit now on those starting mediums. He's really staying out. There's no way, I don't think, that he could pull off a medium soft. That would be borderline impossible, I think. So, still expect him to come in. Brings you pretty close to the rear of Alex Biddo. Biddo obviously on those slightly older hards. They shouldn't really be playing too much different right now. But at the end of this race, if Brainstew can just stick here like he is doing, you know, they're going to exchange lap after lap, I think, for a good 10 or so laps with DRS on one another. But after that point, Brainstew, as long as he's got the track nailed down to a T, which it would appear most of these drivers do with the lack of penalties we're seeing, I just expect him to run away from Biddo a little bit towards the end of this race, provided those tyres really kick in for him, or at least kick out for Alex, because his are just that little bit older.
Yeah. Yeah, that 4-lap differential right now, Brainstew very tight to the rear of him coming through 10 here, and I think he might just be priming that move for turn 1, but there's a big snap from the Alfa Romeo. We look ahead now as it's going to be Vexit finally getting into the pit lane. 16 laps was enough for him on the mediums. Back to Brainstew, as that really exposed. Well, he hasn't had any opportunity to get this move done now. He was within 0.3 of Biddo, had the snap, and here we are now. No opportunity. He's got that DRS. No battery utilization, though. You know, he might have had an opportunity had he used the battery, but thought better of it.
Yeah, patience. You know, the battering around here, much more forgiving than it is last week. Zandvoort, very hard place to get ERS back here. You can use it a lot more. You get a lot more utilization out of that ERS system. You know, and with the DRS around here, very powerful. But with Alex Biddo being outside of DRS range of value right now, Brainstew, I think he's in the right mind to reserve his ERS, because now you'll see here, he'll reel him in a little bit, no ERS, and still just gaining on the Spaniard a little bit extra than he needs, and this could be a really nice move down into turn 1 for the Alfa Romeo. We saw him try a cheeky move around the outside of Valu not too long ago. Now looking at the rear of Biddo, provided he gets through the chicane nicely. Alex kicking the sausage curb on both of the corners through the chicane. Let's see, what are the exit speeds like for these two? Pretty comparative, and here we go. DRS, no ERS needed for the Italian, and well, there goes Brainstew. Easy as you like it ahead of them. Valu might have a go at ZZ9 up the inside. They're side by side through turn 2. ZZ9 holding on to P5 for now, but those 17 lap old hards not giving him a moment's worth of grip compared to Valu, who picks up P5. And while Brainstew and Biddo battle behind him, Valu's picking up points to go and chase down Paris, and I don't think he's going to catch him, but P2 certainly looking strong for the driver currently sat at the top of the standings, and this is damage limitation for Valu with Paris on such a hard charge in that Ferrari shift.
Yeah, definitely. Yoda right now holding up Paris potentially on these 17 lap old hards. I think it's going to be pretty hard for him to do so coming down into turn 1. The turn 1 ERS utilization all the way down into that turn. It's a lot, and Yoda, well, he could help Valu here if it was maybe a different circuit, but here we go now out of the final turn.
Microlander into the pit lane, as is ZZ9. Interested to see where these guys hop out.
Valu now 5.3 seconds away from Yoda, and he'll begin to catch Yoda, but Paris will begin to pull away.
So if Microlander's come out in 9th, that's very strong for the Red Bull here. That's not drastically far behind Alex and Brainstew. It's about 4 seconds, give or take, with Shenjie and some idiot there as well. But mediums, they're going to be faster right now, and I wonder where Microlander will end up in all of this. It's going to be very strong for the Rebel, particularly if we saw a safety car in the next few laps. Microlander could be on for some huge, huge gains.
Well, one thing to talk about was we saw Vexit and Domi exchange. Domi took a 3-second time penalty. It's not going to help him in his case for points right now, as Vexit is the gatekeeper without penalty. Richie at the front of this grid has now entered the pit lane and taken 5 seconds for his troubles. Yoda will join him. Harris at 1:16.939 on the 6th lap Old Hards, fastest lap of this campaign, and he will now be in clear air ahead to potentially grow that gap.
Well, Yoda, I don't know where he's going to come out here. I think he's going to come out just behind Tim here as, well, Ace Richie's right next to Vexit on exit, just about gets past the racing point, and Yoda is just going to be behind Tim. But Yoda, P12 on these fresh mediums, starting 19th. It's been a strong race so far for the Williams driver, and where he sits right now could be quite nice, and see him score some points look a little bit unlikely at the start of this one.
Vexit on exit. You need to say that 5 times fast for me later. That was good. Domi within a second of Vexit with that penalty. He wants to keep with him. There's little battles happening all through this grid. Of course, some idiot has stuck with Shenjie since they came out of the pit lane. They pit together. They've been racing together. They've been just carrying each other through in this race, keeping each other company in their own little world here, with Microlander 2.7 seconds on the medium compound tires behind them now. We'll see if he's able to do something about it.
Yeah, and battle's really starting to become
Oh,
few and
what's
far
happened
between.
there?
Who's that Brownie?
That's
Is
a
in
big
the
issue.
wall strip out of turn 3.
That's a huge crash for the Williams. A major portion of that front left. Fortunately for him, there's no, well, retirement. And this is going to be Paris flying by him. And fortunately, the Williams now, he's been lapped in this campaign. It hasn't gone well. I know I spoke to Brownie before this race, and he's not driving at 100% today. So, bad luck to him. He's been feeling a little bit under, and well, I hope feeling better.
Microlander and Ace, they just exchanged down into turn 1, and that, again, doesn't seem like it will cost them too much in the end of this race, but Ace is pulling out a little bit in comparison to Microlander here. I don't think it's going to be 5 seconds by the end of the race, but we'll see if he can, just carry on pulling out this gap. See where he ends up. P7 right now, a 5-second time penalty. He's on the best tyres in that top 10. So he has that going for him, but 5-second penalty, that's a tough one to shake.
Milan right now is closing up to Blotel. Just a little bit coming through the chicane. Brownie has retired the car in the pit lane.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, especially like you said, feeling under the weather. It's not a brilliant, situation at the best of times, and when you're trying to do one of these league races, Jeff, it's a tough, thing to stay this concentrated. All these drivers would just be absolutely fixated on what is going on in that car, around that car, and well, if you're feeling a little bit under, it can just really make that 10 times worse, 10 times harder, and you got to feel for Brownie, like you said. Fingers crossed he's feeling better before the next one as soon as possible, but yeah, unfortunate for him today. Started at the back of this grid, not going to pick up any points, but still hope for the Williams squad yet. Yoda really on a great drive right now, 11th from 19th, and I'm sure those guys will be happy to see Yoda pick up some points.
I guess some idiot now. DRS battery in deployment. Is he looking to have a run on Shenjay here? Down the inside, he looks, he gets on the brakes and nothing doing out of him. He really wanted it, I think, there. He used a lot of battery.
I'm surprised he didn't commit there, to be honest. When he pulled back in behind Shenjay, he had to go super early on the brakes to get that car stopped behind the AlphaTauri. So I think he did committed there. It would have been a little bit risky, but at the same time, nice patience coming out of the reserve driver. And like you said at the start of this stream, the name not really fitting the driver because he is very, very smart behind the wheel of that car, and we just saw it there. Not taking any unnecessary risk, but I think most drivers would have taken that opportunity. He used a lot of that battery and now running a little bit low, especially when compared to Shenjay, who's dancing around 35-40%.
We've always talked about how difficult it can be to overtake, and we've seen some very exciting races in Tier 3 and Tier 2. A lot of risks, of course. We saw Americas where we had the 3 safety cars. It's been a very up and down week of racing here around the Spanish circuit. And of course, Tier 1, no different. We've had a lot of dynamic situations already with these tire strategies. Look at all of the different tires. 10, 11, 14, 7, 3, 4, you know, everyone's had a little bit of an issue here at some point, whether it's a slide, a spin, an end plate coming off.
And I think tires are about to cost Alex Bido a few positions. His 14 lap on mediums, Shenjay half that, some idiot half that, and then behind them some pretty quick medium runners, and Alex is now really struggling. He's dropped off the back of Brain's Tube big time. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen, but it's happened a bit quicker.
Well, what he needs is he needs a safety car to save him realistically from the possibility of losing a major haul. I don't think he might lose all the potential of points, but he has a very quick field catching him. Richie, penalties. Domi, penalties. You have Yoda on mediums in 11th position right now. He started this race in 18th. So, he's doing pretty good for himself. Or 19th. Yeah, I think it might have been 19th he started this race.
Yeah, 19th Yoda. If I was Alex right now, I'd be happy stuff with, you know, 8th or 9th. Anything higher than that would be
Shenjay,
a pretty surprised because, yeah.
Oh, around the outside, Shenjay, Bido, leaving the space through. Now coming back round. Now through on the inside of 3. Bido holding off Shenjay for the time being. Shenjay now into 4, dropping off. He looked to the inside, but nothing doing. Meanwhile, behind, Blotel has been overtaken by the Haas of Milan. Back to Shenjay. Some idiot is going to be looking to take opportunity when Shenjay fails at these overtake attempts on Bido. The more these two fail, well, the closer it brings in the rest of the crowd behind them. Ace, Microlander, Vexit have all now entered the party.
Striff, this is reminding me a little bit of a very exciting race we saw last season. The finale of Club Division between Alex Bido and Shenjay. Alex here, he doesn't really have much hope to finish ahead of Shenjay here. Much like he didn't have much of a hope of finishing ahead of Shenjay in the championship in that race. But the chain behind him is just evidence enough that he is doing everything he can to slow these guys down. And around his home race, he's not going to be giving out any freebies, but I don't think he's got much of a choice. Shenjay now, that's a lot of raw pace. Some idiot, are we going to see him go for it? No, he's going to be patient once more through turn 1, and he's going to stick behind that Mercedes. But Alex Bido, he made Shenjay really work for that one, and I would be surprised if he did any different for the cars behind.
Well, it's very tight now in this midfield. Shenjay in charge of things. Bido could be in a position to cause some idiot a headache, as well as Ace, Microlander. Vexit isn't quite tight to the rear of Microlander just yet, but he'll be there in just a moment. And then it will be a major train through the middle of this grid. Further down, ZZ9 with Tim, less than half a second. And then way down, Dason, 20 lap old hards right now, less than half a second separating him and Dougie Falcons.
Alex Bitter has really heated up this battle in the midfield, drawn a lot of people in, like you said, and it's going to be really good for Microlander. Oh my goodness, Alex Ritchie taps the rear up here a little bit through the chicane.
Well,
nothing coming of it.
This is going to be major for the Renault here. Microlander's looking at Ritchie. I think Microlander might look here to go up the inside of Ritchie. Oh, he's tight to the rear of the McLaren. He thought better of it.
This is so tense between these few drivers. 6 laps to go in this one, lap 27 to 33. ZZ9's going to have a go at Tim around the outside of turn 1. Not going to find anything there in the Renault, but he's got a tyre advantage as well at the moment. The crossover point might happen before the end of this race. And, well, with this grid being as close as it is, Ritchie could be really struggling with that 5-second penalty with how close Microlander and Vexit are behind.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to take a penalty like that for Ace at the end of this one. Speeding into the pit lane, not something you want to do in any case, and it might cost him dearly here.
Yeah, really not too long to go, and, well, if he hadn't pulled out the 5-second by now, it's pretty much game over. Brainstew in P3, he's just picked up a 3-second time penalty.
That's not good. That's not good for him at all.
Especially with Shenjie on fresher tyres. If Shenjie can push for 2.3 seconds, it seems like it's an unbeatable gap, especially without DRS ahead of him, but it's going to be a tough call. But Shenjie could still see himself on the podium for just the second time this season. He's had a very quiet race, and he's had a fairly quiet season as well, Striff.
Yoda, right to the rear of Domi, coming through turn 1. Just behind ZZ9, dispatching the Haas of him. Goes a little bit squirrely on the exit, though. Does Tim have enough to get back in front of this Renault here? Coming into turn 4, ZZ9 on the line right now. Tim holding well with him. I don't believe we'll see him move back just yet.
Yeah, not too much position changing up at the front right now. Still, I've just been watching Ace as he sits in P7, sort of slap bang in the middle of this train. You got Bitto still leading it, and only Shenjie has managed to break free. And Alex actually not doing too bad. Some idiot behind him. 11 lap hold hard. He wants to put in a bit of a defense for the medium runners behind him because they've got a little bit of a faster tire right now, and DRS for all but Alex. Well, Alex will still have DRS and Shenjie, sorry. Shenjie's the one without the DRS, so that's helping Alex to stay in front. Domi and Yoda. Yoda hopping into the points position for the Williams squad. Finally made it, and if he can draw himself in just a little bit closer to the rear of Ace Ritchie, he can take advantage of that 5-second penalty. Again, seems like a little bit of a long shot, similarly to Brainstew and Shenjie, but not impossible at the tail end of this one.
Well, Bitto sticking with Shenjie is very good for him. We thought he might drop through this grid, but he might be able to just stick well because we saw what happened with Ace and some idiot. A little bit of a tap coming out of the McLaren onto the rear of that Renault, unsettling the car, costing him time, giving Bitto a little bit of breathing space for the cars behind. Even though it's less than a second, it's still breathing space in this grid.
And Bitto is just doing an amazing job to keep managing those tires. They're so old. I was expecting him to fall much further here. I didn't have him finishing higher than 8th. So
some idiot's going for it here. He needs to get through this Mercedes along the inside now on the Spaniard. The Renault coming through, getting that car rotated, and that's a move done for the Renault now. Some idiot will be happy to have a car separating him and the McLaren. The problem is he had to use a lot of battery to do it, and he had to use a lot of battery to recover from that tap he suffered from the McLaren. Now Ritchie will look to hunt down Bitto with Microlander less than half a second behind him in that charging Red Bull. And
I think for Ace Ritchie, this is the most important. For some idiot, it's not as critical to get past Alex Bitto, but for Ritchie, who could stand to lose even more points depending on how close Yoda gets He needs to get rid of the slow mover of Alex Bido here. Alex, on those old tyres, he's looking to get as many points as he can around his home race. And, well, right now, Ace Richie going to help him do that, because as long as he can keep Ace Richie behind him for as long as possible to hold up Microlander, Alex only has to worry about Microlander. There's no way that Richie could pull out 5 seconds unless Alex has a monumental error. That Alex doesn't mind if Richie comes past him in the last lap. It's Microlander that's the threat.
That's right. That's right. Richie has that penalty. Microlander, he's clean. Vexit, he's clean. It's these guys behind Richie that Alex is keeping at bay, and he's using Richie to do it. And as long as he's got some idiot in front of him with a little bit of that ERS deployment. Here goes Richie now. He had a little bit of a look up the inside there, I think, through 3. Bido not giving him any options.
Yeah, well, chat is coming across and saying that they don't have a lot of expectations for the life of Bito's tyres. And he does have that little notification warning light on the overlay there. Whether it's for the tyres, I expect it is, but whether they're at that 75% threshold, I don't know. If he's got
big late lunge out of Race Richie here on the inside of Alex Bido through turn 10. He looked at him, he stopped, and then he really sent it up the inside there, and I think this has really cost him overall. I don't believe he took any damage, so very fortunate for him. That was a major attempt. Microlander wants to see more of those so that he can get into the equation.
Well, 2 laps including this one to go, and Yoda is within a second of Ace Richie's penalty, so Richie really needs to be careful. He either needs to get rid of Alex Bido, or he just needs to battle as little as possible. He cannot afford to do both, as he goes a little bit wide.
This is not what he needs at all! Microlander, oh!
Through turn 4, side by side, the Red Bull and the McLaren. Microlander will have the outside, though, down into turn 5. This could be problematic for the Red Bull. A little bit of a wheel bang between the two, and Richie manages to hold up the Red Bull for now. But Yoda is now within about 3/10 of that time penalty, and Richie cannot afford battles like that. He needs to be clinical on these corner exits. 1.5 laps to go, and he is dancing with just 3 points lost on the crossing that line. He's not able to go for the lunge again on Alex, this time down into turn 10. Turn 1, he's even a little bit far behind, coming through sector 3 right now, and Yoda could be seeing himself in P9 at the end of this race from 19th. 10 places gained. This is all going to come down to the wire, Striff.
Yeah, this is going to be tight. This is going to be tight right now. Microlander looking very tightly at Ace, and he's going to have that DRS on the rear now and utilizing that battery. I think he's going to go for an opportunity here. Tight, tight, tight now. Ace moves to the inside. Here goes Microlander around the outside of turn 1. Nothing doing just yet, and he drops out. Ace holds it for now.
Yeah, and that is exactly what Ace does not want to be doing. Microlander might have another look around the outside. This time, he's learned from last lap. He doesn't want to be on the inside of turn 4. He wants to be around the outside, so he gets the inside here a little later on the brakes. But Richie pulls off the brakes, goes later, and that causes a lockup. And he can see himself get overtaken not only by the Red Bull, but Vexit. And Vexit's counting his chickens properly in through here. 7. Oh, come on. This is going to be so close. Who's going to go for the lunches? Someone's going to make this move. It's the last
Richie's
lap.
in trouble. Vexit's coming through. What an exit out of 9. And there he is up the inside now. Does he get this move done on the McLaren? Richie deep into the turn, and Vexit is through into 8th. Paris will take the checkered flag in the Ferrari. Valu now will cross through out of the final turn to collect 2nd, and it'll be Brain Stew 3rd at the line. Will he fall to any kind of penalty? No. Shenji will collect 4th as some idiot crosses 5th. It will be Bido here around his home Grand Prix in 6th. Microlander in 7th. Vexit in 8th. Yoda will take Richie on the penalty and finish in 9th. Richie collects the final points position in 10th as Domi crosses just outside in 11th. What a race. What a race, Unicorn. That was thrilling straight to the end.
That was so tight all throughout that way. You know, you see it. I think there's a bit of a difference here in Tier 1 that there's not so many overtakes in that middle stage. Everyone just sort of bides their time in these sort of mini DRS trains. Sometimes they're huge. Sometimes, you know, you've got half the grid in one train. This week, it was more sort of those pockets of cars, and the middle battle, for these 5th through 10th positions, and absolutely crazy with the soft hards coming out of Bido. Domi not really in there at the end, but certainly was at one point, and driver of the day, go to Yoda. No surprises there. A very, very good drive from him, but yeah, just some super driving from all of these drivers. But one guy we didn't get to see a lot throughout that race trip, Paris. What a dominant performance.
It was a spectacular drive out of him. He had everything down today. He drove well. He had value. Did contend with him at the beginning just a little bit, and then there was a little bit of traffic, I think, playing with value today. No safety cars, no VSCs to play with anything in this one. It just came down to strategy and pace and ability in this one. And you see Paris there, Ferrari on the top step, Red Bull for value there. Value, not entirely sure how this will play out in the standings now. We'll have to take a look at post-race, but Brain Stew in third. The Alfa Romeo. We'll get interviews from the top three in just a few moments' time. Shenjay from 9th to 4th. A good drive from him. It was 10th to 5th for some idiot in the Renault. Bido drops back off the front row into 6th. Microlander went 13th to 7th. Begsit dropped back 3 positions in the Racing Point, but very, very late fireworks coming out of the Racing Point camp. They'll be happy to see it. Yoda 19th to 9th, making up 10 positions in this race, collecting 2 points. And Richie 16th to 10th, albeit he might have had a little bit more in it without that penalty. 16th to 10th, good on him to get those positions and get the point for McLaren. Domi, ZZ9, Milan, Tim, Sindako, Lil Blotel, as well as Dougie, Dason, Freeware, and Brownie, all in this one. Brownie, the only driver to retire in this race, as he has indicated to me yesterday. It's been a rough week. He's feeling that great, so hopefully he's feeling better, and hopefully we'll see him in Monaco. But yeah, what a race, Unicorn.
Yeah, just super intense battling from these guys. These interviews I think are going to be fairly interesting. Maybe, Paris just sort of right up at the top there for a long period of time, but the tire strategy from these guys, only Paris was the only one in that top 5 at the start of this race on the grid. Value started 6th, Brains 7th, so some really great drives from both of those. And like you said, I think this will have seen a change at the top. I'm going to do the maths quickly while we get people in for interviews, but I think we might have a new championship leader.
Take a moment here. Joining us right now for an interview, the 3rd place finisher here, the Alfa Romeo driver, Brain Stew. Congratulations. How are you feeling after this one in Spain?
And very well. I was very confident of my pace coming into the race, and I want to congrats Paris, because his pace today was unbeatable, I think, and also Vallu, very good pace.
Was there?
And yeah, go.
Was there anything in this race that you were expecting that didn't happen? We didn't see any VSC, no safety car. We didn't even get rain. How was it for you? Did your strategy, did everything play out the way you wanted it, or were there some things that you needed to adapt to in this race?
Yeah, I think everything went to plan. Clarifying on the mediums and the normal strategy from there, and I managed to overtake backseat at the beginning, so that was very crucial. And from there, I just a little fight with the Vallu, but quite a flat race from there.
Well, congratulations on the P3, on the podium. Do you have anything to say to anyone that may be watching along in the stream?
I want to thank everyone for watching and for the support, of course.
Thank you, Brain Stew, and we'll hope to see you here soon, once again. Joining us now, the 2nd place finisher here in Spain, Vallu. How are you doing? Congratulations. How was this race for you?
Boring. The start, I got up 50 positions, got off the line well, but then I was behind Domi and Bido. Softs when Paris got through, and he got 3-second gap, and it was basically over.
Right. Were you expecting any kind of safety car in this race, any kind of VSC to potentially come through with such a tight grid?
Not really. Spain is pretty easy to race clean, so I was just chilling, keeping brains to out of DRS.
Well, congratulations. How is Red Bull looking ahead for Monaco next round?
I'm not looking forward to Monaco. I hate the track.
Okay, well we'll be on the lookout for you in Monaco then. Thank you,
Yeah.
Valu.
Thank you.
All right, no stranger to coming through into the commentary booth at this point. Welcoming back Paris. Congratulations on yet again another race win. Unicorn, as always. Please, sir, have the honor.
Yeah, well, Paris, like Jeff said, this is 4 in a row now for P1, and you've come in, you've made your mark. You're the first driver, I do believe, to reach triple digits, 100 points in the standings, and if my maths is correct, you're now 1 point ahead of Valu. You're leading. How does that feel after that race?
After that race, it feels great, man. That win came a lot cleaner than the other couple of wins. I just did what I needed to do at the right times and executed in qualifying.
Yeah, well, qualifying went very well for you. We saw some brilliant times for the soft runners, but then out of nowhere, you just seemed to pop in, I think, 2 or 3 tenths faster than anyone else on the medium tires. I'm assuming that was always your strategy, but were you expect to be that high up the grid on those mediums and so much quicker on the medium?
I actually thought a few more people would go softs, so I didn't actually think I'd be that high up. But on our medium lap, I had a few mistakes as well, which could have been even faster. But I don't want to say any ridiculous times, but it could have been at least a tenth or two, maybe like a high 0. But I'm not sure if it would have moved me up any positions.
Yeah, well, still an excellent amount of pace, and then the race, obviously, very, very composed. You were super far ahead throughout the whole thing. Was, a safety car could have thrown a spanner in the works, but was there any point in that race that you were worried that you were going to finish anywhere other than P1?
Well, it got a bit hectic at the start, to be fair, and I just didn't know what happened between myself and Dougie, because I was stuck on the inside. I was sort of pinched on the racing line. I'm just turning right, and then all of a sudden I see his car just ping off mine, and I'm just confused. But other than that, it felt pretty composed, and it was just about making the move on Ito at the right time to get past just as his tires are going off, and then use both the soft runners behind to make a gap to the guys on mediums.
Well, still a very strong race. You've made it 4 in a row. Can you make it 5 at Monaco? A very tricky track. How are you looking towards that one?
No promises, man. Anything can happen at Monaco. It's just down to like any driver makes a tiny mistake, and all of a sudden your race is done.
Well, again, big congratulations and thank you once again for taking the time to come and interview. And I'm sure it won't be long until we interview you once more.
Thanks, man.
Congratulations. Okay, that wraps up Tier 1 racing action here around Spain. We have one more race to come this week. It is the APAC division this coming Sunday. Unicorn, that will be in your ballpark. And of course, big shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. As we jump into the outro, we are going to raid a member of the F1 stream community. You guys may know this guy. He's pretty quick, but that'll be it for me. Unicorn, do you have any more statements before we jump into the outro?
Well, again, another brilliant race from Tier 1 and the championship. 1 point between the two leaders now. Very, very exciting. Still no rain, though. So, yeah, APAC on Sunday. Surely we have to see it there. If not, all hopes on Monaco for the F1 action. But again, brilliant race. Thanks to everyone watching in the chat. But yeah, that's all from me.
Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time.